All right, welcome, guys. My name is Gediminas, and today's topic is four things that stop people in business. They have this saying where they say success leaves clues. If you observe enough successful people, you will very quickly start getting an idea of what, successful people do, because there will be some common things. Well, I've just invented another saying. Failure leaves clues too. Right? Like if you watch a lot of people who quit, guess what? You'll start noticing some commonalities as well. And these four things happen very, very often for people who quit the business. Now, they happen to those that don't quit as well. It's the reaction to those four things that will determine your result. So, of course, I'm not just going to bring you some bad news of, hey, this is what happens when people quit the business. I'm actually going to try and give you some tips that hopefully will help you handle those four things when they happen in your business. Not if, when they happen, because they will happen in all of your businesses. So, first one, the first thing that stops people in business is doubt, 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 doubt. And I remember one multi-millionaire network marketing leader saying, doubt and belief cannot live in the same head, which basically means you can do one or the other, right? And doubt kills more dreams than failure does. You see, we quite often think that, oh, most people quit the business because they failed, right? Because they tried and didn't get the result. But how many of you have had a team member who joined a business and didn't even start? Why? Because they started thinking, oh, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if it doesn't work out? And what if I fail? And what if I'm not good enough? And what if nobody buys? And what if nobody joins? And so on and so on and so on, right? And all of this doubt, what does it do? It paralyzes them where they don't even start. They don't even start taking any action because that doubt stops them, right? Hey, some of you might already start feeling, hey, I'm doing this sometimes, right? Because all of us do sometimes, right? But, are you willing to change that? And one of our mentors always says it takes the same amount of energy to doubt yourself as it does to believe in yourself. Both is just a fantasy. Both is just something that you're imagining, right? Like if you're doubting, like what if it doesn't work out? You're just imagining a worst case scenario. But if you're saying, hey, I believe in myself, I will do it, I will reach it, I'll succeed at it, then guess what? You're also just imagining it, right? Because none of us knows what actually will happen in the future, are we? Right? So you might as well just do it, right? And, sometimes we say, well, I wish I had as much belief as that person. Well, I wish I had a strong belief like this leader. But guess what? Everybody has the same amount of belief. It's just you choose where to invest it. If you doubt yourself, that means you're investing your belief into believing that you're not going to make it. If you believe in yourself and say, I can do it, then you're investing the same amount of belief into saying, I can do it, right? Again, it's the same amount of energy. It's the same amount of energy. And quite often people, what do they say? Well, what if I fail? And what if it doesn't work out? And what if nobody buys? And what if nobody joins? But what if you started asking yourself a different question? What if I succeed? What if I start doing these lives and actually it does give me the result? What if I start making these reels and I actually start making money from it? What if I start sending messages and I actually do find my next leader? Again, the quality of your life sometimes depends on the quality of the question. You have everything you need to succeed. One of my favorite people in the world, or maybe favorite example in the world, is a guy called Nick Vujicic. Some of you have seen this guy. I think he's from Czech Republic or Slovakia. And the guy has no legs and no arms. And he's written books. He does seminars, huge conferences with thousands of people. He has a beautiful wife, amazing lot of children. He's very wealthy, travels the world. The guy has no legs and no arms. It's just a head and a body. If this guy can make it, can you imagine how many people told him, no, you can't? No, you won't be able to? And can you imagine what had gone through his head? But if he can do it, then guess what? You have everything you need to become ultra, ultra successful. And guess what? Doubt, quite often, is with the premise that, well, as soon as I become confident, then I will do it. As soon as I start believing in myself, then I will do it. But right now I'm doubting myself. But let me ask you a question. When does the confidence come? Before you do something or after you do something? Like those of you who drive a car, did you become confident at driving a car before you started driving or after you started driving? Silly question, right? Most of the things that you are confident right now in your life, you were not confident before you started doing it. But after you did it a number of times, you start getting, hey, this is not so crazy. This is not so difficult. This is not so scary. I can do this thing, right? So whatever you doubt yourself in, you have to understand that unless you do it, you won't be confident. You will always be doubting yourself for the rest of your life, right? But once you do it, the doubt disappears, right? So the antidote for doubt is action. And best thing to do is just take small steps towards your goal. I always give that example of driving a car in the night. Imagine it's middle of the night. You have to drive 100 miles or 100 kilometers, and your car's headlights only show you few hundred meters in front, right? So how are you going to travel 100 miles if all you can see is few hundred meters in front of you? Well, you go the few hundred meters, and the next few hundred meters light up, right? You go those few hundred meters, the next few hundred meters. You see, people who doubt themselves very often stop themselves and doubt because they say, well, I can't see how I could achieve this. I can't see how I could reach that level. I can't really understand how I could make that money. I can't really see building a team of that size. Therefore, no point even trying. Therefore, no point, taking the action because I can't see how we will do it. Well, you don't need to see that. You don't need to know that. All you need to see is the next step or the first step. What could you do next? And then once you do that, guess what? You see the next step, and then the next step, and then the next, and before you know it, you're halfway there. You're all the way there. You already reached your goal, but you couldn't have seen it 100 steps ago. All you could see is the first step, right? So how to eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? All you have to ask yourself is, what else could I do? What else could I do? Every time you catch yourself doubting, just ask yourself, what can I do? Instead of doubting it, instead of wasting my energy thinking about it and procrastinating about it and philosophizing about it, what if and what if, what could I just do right now? I could do that. Like for example, I don't know, you're in the shopping center or in your shopping mall or whatever, and you see a person and you go like, oh my gosh, I'd love to invite that person to my business. And then what starts to happen? Doubt creeps in. Well, what if they laugh at me? What if they whatever, right? Well, right? Stop. What could you do? Well, I could smile at them and say hi and see what happens. That's the first step, right? So you smile and say, hey. And if they turn away from you, all right, well, that didn't work, right? Like, so that ends here. But if they go, hi, they say hi back to you. Okay, we can move forward, right? How's things, right? And you can start going step by step. You don't need to worry, well, but once I talk to them, so how will I present the business and how will I show the product and when will I register them? Don't worry about any of that. Just worry about the first step. Okay. Number 2, disappointments. Disappointments. Right? Oh, I'm so disappointed. Oh, guess what? If you are not successful, if you failing, you're just like everyone else. It would be abnormal if you always succeeded, if you always had the result, if you never failed. It would be abnormal because normal people get disappointments. Normal people make mistakes. Normal people experience failures. That is normal. And like Alex Hormozy says, he's, by the way, multimillionaire. He says, I'm glad it's hard because it creates bigger opportunity for me. Because it's hard, most people will quit. Because it's hard, most people won't do it, which means that creates less competition for me and bigger opportunity for me. Guys, do you understand it? If it was easy to become a diamond, if it was easy to build a team of thousands of people, if it was easy and everybody bought and everybody joined, then nobody would pay such incredible amount of money for it. Then the pay would be just like in a normal job where it's easy to do. Because it's hard, that's why it's so profitable. That's why it pays so well. And whenever you experience a failure, right? Whenever you have make a mistake or whenever you have a setback, there's 2 things you can do. One, when you have a setback, you decide to continue. And then that setback becomes a lesson. You've just learned a lesson, right? Like they say, Edison had 10,000 unsuccessful light bulb attempts before he made it successfully, right? The only time when it's a failure is when you quit. If you stop, if you quit, then you solidify that failure. Then you make it permanent. But if you carry on, then that was just a lesson. It wasn't a failure. It's just a lesson, right? And you carried on. And like Eric Worre says, you can determine the size of a person by the problem that makes them give up. How big a problem you need to come across to give up. You know, I even have this thing where I give this phrase to people in the training. I stopped pursuing my dream because ... So next time you have a challenge, write it in. I stopped chasing my dream. I stopped reaching my dream because John quit my team. I stopped pursuing my dream because 5 people said no to me. I stopped pursuing my dream because somebody put a nasty comment on my post on social media. Can you see how silly that sounds? Because that makes you think, hey, so is my dream so small? Is my dream has such a small worth that I would give up after such an insignificant thing, right? So, like I remember one leader said, develop your short-term memory. What it means, you forget the setbacks as soon as possible. You know, unsuccessful people, they will spend weeks or months being sorry for themselves. You know, like Zig Ziglar used to say, throwing themselves a pity party, right? But successful people, they brush it off like the water of duck's back. And next day, they start again. Next day, they start again. Third, distractions. Distractions, right? Lack of concentration kills a lot of success. You know, if you are distracted, if you're trying to do 20 things at once, you're diluting your success and you're making problems become bigger than they really are. Because think about it. If your resources, if your energy, if your focus is spread out through 20 different things, then any problem will look like a mountain. But if you're totally focused on one thing, then any problem that appears, you just go, well, we'll handle it. We'll sort it out. We'll fix it, right? Because your whole concentration is here, right? So focus on one thing. And when it comes to becoming more disciplined, organized, and time management, a good question to ask is not how you can cram more into your day. A good question to ask, what could you not do at all? What could you eliminate from your day so you can spend as much of your energy focusing on that one important thing? Get the distractions out. And then the last one is delay. And what do I mean by delay? They say Rome wasn't built in a night. And usually it will take you longer than you want or expect that it will take. And it will require more effort than you thought, right? And what you do today is what creates the results for tomorrow. If today your results are not great, it shows your activity over the last couple of months. And sometimes you start putting in the effort, you start working hard, but you don't see the results immediately because there is this delay. And that's why most people never get the results, or more correctly would be never see the results, because they gave up too quick, because they didn't realize that there's that delay. And you must have seen this little picture on social media and other places, right? Where this man was so close to the diamonds and he turned around and walked back. And I've seen lots and lots and lots of people in the last 14 years in business who quit the business before they saw the success. And a lot of them were just around the corner from success. They were so, so close. So you need to live by two words: until and despite. I will do this until I get the results. I will send messages until I find somebody. I will do social media content until I build a huge brand. And despite. I'll do this despite of critics. I'll do this despite of failures. I'll do this despite of fear. I'll do this despite of anything. Nothing's gonna stop me, right? I'll do it until and despite. So that's a quick training for today, guys. Hope you got value from this. And now we're gonna open up for some questions and answers.